Welcome back to another episode of Shabbat Shmooze. This week's Parsha is Parshat Teitzei. We come across a magnificent mitzvah in this week's Parsha. That is the mitzvah of shiluach haken. What is shiluach haken? It's the commandment of sending away the mother bird before we take the eggs or chicks from its nest. From this mitzvah alone, we can literally learn how we are meant to live our lives. If we are meant to show so much compassion to a mother bird, kal v'chomer, how much more so must we be doing that towards human beings, towards friends, towards family members? So much so that we are taught that the schar, the reward for shiluach haken, is a long and beautiful life. I don't know about you guys, but I would love to be signed into the book of long and beautiful life, especially this time of year. This reminds me of an amazing story I once heard about a Rav named Rav Aryeh Levin, who is from Yerushalayim. He was actually called the Tzaddik of Jerusalem, and he was known to be an extremely compassionate man. He was a gadol in Torah, and he was filled with so much knowledge, but it was really his compassion and his sensitivity that stood out from everything else. One day, Rav Aryeh takes his wife to the doctor. She wasn't feeling well, and they're waiting in the waiting room, and finally they get called in. The doctor comes into the room and begins to examine the wife, and he says, "Okay, well, what brings you here?" And Rav Aryeh says, Doctor, help us. My wife's foot is hurting us." And the doctor stopped for a second and said, "Your wife's foot is hurting you both?" He said, "Yes, my wife's foot is hurting us." And in that moment, the doctor realized he's standing before greatness, and he's sitting with a very, very compassionate man whose wife's pain had really become his pain. I think this is something that I would love to just focus on for this week's spiritual homework. Every person in the world is struggling. Every person in the world is in pain in some way. Let us learn from the mitzvah of shiluach haken that if we're meant to do something such a small act, it's so insignificant, but it is so huge. We're simply sending off the mother bird before we take its eggs and its babies. But Hashem wants us to show kindness and compassion even when no one's watching, even when there is no grand gesture of acknowledgement or recognition. This is between us and Hashem, bein Adam lemakom. That is what counts, and that is where our schar will come from. So, guys, spiritual homework. This week, Parshat Teitzei. Focus on being a little bit more compassionate towards the pain and the plight of others. If you see someone walking in the street, smile for them. Hold doors open for people. Put money in meters that are expired. Do everything beseter, quietly and without fanfare. This is between us and Hashem. And Bezrat Hashem, let us all be zocheh to receive the long and beautiful life, just as it says we will if we do shiluach haken. Shabbat shalom.